Hi, everyone, and welcome to NFL Thursday. We have Ivory Sully and Reggie Doss from the NFL, the LA Rams, and we are here to talk football. What's it like to play football in the NFL? And we're gonna have a little football talk, and then we're gonna go in and say like what really happens to the guys as it relates to body injury, brain injury, just really what's happening, and how X39, our stem cell activation patch, is helping NFL. So Ivory, let's first start with you. Why don't you tell us like who you are, who you played for, what position, how much did you weigh back in the day? Let's hear a little bit of football.
Marci's all over that. Marci's all over that weight, man.
I'm all over the weight.
Hey, look, hey, that's okay. That's all right. But the numbers that are important in the NFL are your 40 times, and that's the bottom line. You know, your 40 time to make it. So yes, I played 9 years in the NFL. I played 6 years with the Los Angeles Rams. I played in the 1979 Super Bowl with my compadre Reggie, that's on the other end of me, and we played it at the Rose Bowl. Yes, sir. And played 6 years with the Rams, got traded to Tampa Bay, played 2 years with Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and 1 year with the Detroit Lions. And I was a defensive back. The reason why I made it in the NFL, or that they even saw me, was because I ran a really good 40. I ran a 4.27 40, and I ran it consistently. And so they said, "Hey, this guy's fast. I think we can do something with him." That's great. But here's the real story. It's in college. I used to score touchdowns. I used to have the ball and go over touchdown and do the dirty dance in the end zone and stuff like that. And when I got to the Rams, they turned me into a defensive back, in which I stopped people from scoring touchdowns. So everything what happened on the first day that I got there. And I switched out, and because of my speed, I learned how to play defensive back over the 9 years. So that's basically
a defensive back. What do you where do you protect? Is that the same as a safety?
I am a defensive back, and specifically a safety is what I was. I started out as a cornerback. As time moved on, I moved inside to go to the safety position, and safeties are the last line of defense. They're the ones that try to keep the ball out of the end zone when the quarterback passes the ball, that they defend against it, that they don't let it be completed to another offensive receiver and move the ball down the field. We're trying to disrupt and take the ball back so that the offense can get.
Okay, and I know I'm into weight, but how much did you weigh in your day?
I weighed, it fluctuated, 210 to 212. I was in that realm, but I was playing defensive back, and in those days, if you weighed 210 pounds, you were a big defensive back. So I was a big guy, a big defensive back that ran fast and hit hard. That's what I did.
You ran fast and you hit hard because you ran a 40 in what? 4 seconds or some darn thing?
4.27.
4.27. So you're a 215 pound, all muscle, running a 4.27. My guess is I wouldn't want to be a receiver on the receiving end of you. Is that correct?
Oh, no. There's going to be a little bit of pain that's associated with that.
You're not going to want to be a receiver. So if the receiver catches the ball, they better run a 4.13.
Hey, Reggie can't count for it. Reggie knows. I'm just saying what it was, and Reggie's my backup. So you go.
Let's talk about Reggie now. Reggie, according to Ivory, he told me about you. I want to know how long you played in the NFL and your story, but I want to know what this 2-gapper means. He says that not everybody's a 2-gapper, but you're a 2-gapper. I want to know what that means, and I want to know how much you weighed in your day.
All right. Well, I am Reggie Doss. I know my wife. I'm using my wife's laptop. That's why it's Tamara Doss on there now. But I played in the NFL for years, all with the Los Angeles Rams. And Ivory's rookie year, we played in Super Bowl 14, first Super Bowl that the Rams were actually in. So back in the day when I came to the Rams, I was 6'4", 270 pounds. And that was kind of was on an average for defensive lineman back in the day then. I ran a 4.7 40 at 270 pounds. So I had some pretty good wheels, and I could also dunk a basketball. Right now, I can't jump over my credit card right now. So it's like the time has changed. But
so you're 6'4". I mean, in your day, that was a tall, big man. I don't think I would want to be on the receiving end of you either.
Well, back in the day, and Ivory and I, we both started out, doing special teams like most players did back in the day. And we go down on special teams, and we were called wedge busters. We go down and who had the wedges, 3 or 4 guys that line up right behind in front of the ball carrier as the ball's kicked off to him, and we go down and just blow the wedge up. You know what I mean? That's where our Sully's speed came in, because he had the speed to, if they got through the wedge and got through, he was the one that made the stop at the end. If not, the other team would be celebrating in the end zone. But that's how I started. Usually get it a season, like I said, 270 pounds. By the end of the season, I probably lost 10 to 12 pounds. So I was down after the entire season. Now I'm about a stealth 240 pounds. So it's all those pounds really wasn't needed after the football days were over. Yeah. But it was a fun time. I mean, we had a ball playing, and it was the game's a little different than it is now. I'm not going to say it's more physical, but we did more physical things on the field compared to what they do now. They kind of restrict the players now on a certain type of contact, how you hit guys, and get into that 2-gap thing that Sully told you about the other day. It's basically position that you play, or should I say the way that you play a position as a defensive lineman. You have 2 responsibilities. First, you got to defeat the offensive lineman, which these guys are anywhere from 270 to 320 pounds. You got to defeat them first, get off the block, and 2-gapping basically is a 2 technique where you line head up in front of the guy, and you jam him with your hands, and you stabilize him right there, and then you have to find the ball carrier. I've got some photos at home where you're actually looking to see where the ball carrier is, and once you find it, shed the blocker and get to the ball, and that was kind of my specialty right there. I mean,
That's what he did.
In the LA Times years ago, and they said that's when they had started switching to pass rush specialists and first down conversions. They would say the better he plays, the more he's on the sideline. So usually anytime they ran to my side, I put that move on him and make the stop, and then leave him in pass situations. Then I'd go to the sideline and bring a pass rush specialist in. But that's where the 2-gap kind of originated back then, and that's what I've been known for.
You're known as the 2-gap. So you block and you find the ball and you go. Get to it.
Hey, Reg, that's right. Hey, Reg. So remember the Monday Night Football game against the Atlanta Falcons? You're talking about a 2-gap. I mean, you're talking about wedge busters, right? You remember that when we were playing in the Coliseum, and we had just gone ahead in the game, and we're playing on Monday Night Football, and we had to, and we were trying to get into the playoffs and everything. And I think it was you, me, it was the wedge busters. So what the Atlanta Falcons did was they had 4 guys, and they're usually bigger guys that, guys about Reggie's size.
Offensive, defensive linemen, typically, yes.
Offensive and defensive linemen. And what they do is they form a wedge, and they come up, and the return guy runs right behind them. And what ends up happening is if you don't go ahead and bust that wedge, I mean, literally go in there and bust it up, the running back, the receiver, the return guy is going to return the ball. But this one, it was unbelievable. Me, Reggie, and then you and me knocked out 3 of their guys, right, Reg? And,
the busters,
and
man.
it was like I was out, but I didn't know I was out. All I knew is they told me to get up. So there was 3 of them left on the ground, and me and Reggie, we took care of the business. We got off the field, but they wouldn't let me lie there because
say get up, Sully. Maybe they'll think, maybe they'll think you knocked them out. Don't make them think that. you and knock you down. Get up. Let's go.
Hey, that was what happened. Reggie came to me and said, "Get up, Sully, get up, get up."
Don't let anybody know that you're the one knocked out. You did
That's
the
right.
knocking. Remember who's in
Exactly.
charge.
That's exactly right. So there's a difference right there in the way we used to play the game, which is very physical, and the way they play today, which it's understandable. And I'm not agreeing with all the stuff that we used to do, but we have evolved since those times.
Yeah, the game has definitely changed in that period of time. I mean, just the physicality of the game, the way it was played back then. I mean, you could just, go out. I mean, you wouldn't go out to hurt anyone, but you're just playing fundamental hard football. If that means driving and running right through somebody, that's what you do. I mean, not with your head down, but with your head up, looking where you're going. But that's the way we were taught, and that's the way we did it. But it's a totally different game now, And like Ivory said, it's kind of understandable because they're paying these guys gazillions of dollars to be out there, and if these guys get hurt, it's like, wow, they're on the sideline watching instead of out on the field performing.
Well, I would say, like in your day,
So
you guys were still hitting with you were using your head still a lot in a way that
plus we called ourselves crash dummies. That's kind of what we were back in the day.
Yeah. It's the truth. It's the truth. Hey,
so
and
tell
Reggie,
me a little bit about that, being crash dummies. Tell me about what was it average day, week, month like playing year after year on your brain, on your body? You say crash dummies, like what does that really mean?
That's kind of a little sarcastic term that we used because I played 10 years. I played over 210 to 12 consecutive games. I didn't miss a game my entire career. I played with torn meniscus. I played with broken fingers. I played with torn plantar fasciitis. I mean, I've done it all. And a concussion was really when you go down and you hit someone hard or you make that contact where you get up and you're dazed. Like Ivory was talking about on that wedge busting against Atlanta on that Monday night game. You get up and you make it to the sideline, and then the trainers will come out and say, "Hell, are you okay?" And they give you the finger test. Like, how many fingers am I holding up? 1,
That's
2,
right.
4.
That's right.
And they basically, the way that you answered their questions was how they determined, if you're able to go back in the game. I go back to 1979, the year we went to the Super Bowl. We played the Seattle Seahawks. And if you look it up on record, we held them to a minus 24 yards total offense, which is unheard of. I mean, we totally shut them out defensively. But the second quarter of that game, Ivory and I, we running down the kickoff, and I was typically the guy that's going to be, I'm going to go down and bust a wedge, but they had a side return on this particular play. And as I go down, I mean, just from knowledge of those, my first, second year, I'm running down, and nobody had picked me up on the first wave and the second wave, and I'm like 25 yards from the ball carrier, and the only thing I'm thinking is, oh, dude, I'm going to blast this guy. It's going to be lick of the week. I'm going to get $100. He's giving like $100 for like the hardest hit of the game. I said, oh, I'm going to get it right now. And before I could realize it, I see a different colored jersey out my peripheral vision. I'm running full speed, so I didn't have time to turn and look to see what's coming. Only thing I could do, I knew it was somebody from our team. Only thing I could do at that point was kind of lean my head toward it. The next thing I remember, and I mean, I had to go on YouTube and find out exactly what happened. I on the ground, and only thing I can hear is a loud roaring sound like, ooh. I don't know if it was the crowd going, ooh, look, somebody just got hit, or just in my head where it's roaring. And so I'm on the ground, I'm like face down, and Sully was the first one to come up to me and said, Doss, you all right? Doss, you okay? No, he said, Reggie, you okay? And I was like, no, man, that guy knocked the heck out of me, man. And by this time, this trainer comes out. His name is George Menifee. And George Menifee was probably 75 years old when I met him, but he used to call everybody Holmes. So he comes out in the field, this little medical kid, he goes, Holmes, you okay? Holmes, you okay? And I go, no, man, that dude just knocked the crap out of me, man. So I roll over, he gets an ammonia capsule, a little ammonia capsule, and pops it and puts it on my nose. And by this time I sit up, and he's like, oh, you okay? And I say, yeah, man. And I look over, and the guy that hit me, he hit me so hard, he had knocked himself out completely. And I said, hey, to the sideline, maybe they'll think I hit his behind. So I get to the sideline, and all concussion protocol then was hold your fingers up. How many Dr. Clarence Shields, this is our doctor and surgeon, holds the fingers up, and I'll say, you know, 1, 2, 3, or whatever. So they give you ammonia capsule and a little sip of water, Gatorade, and say, all right, get back in the game, let's go play. But that was it. It's not going
right.
like they do now. Evaluate you and look at your eyes if they're dilated or what's going on, and say, oh no, you're going to be out for a couple of weeks through the protocol. That was just a little ammonia capsule, a little Gatorade, and you're back at it, man.
Wow. How many of those would you get a game? That was more of a major one, but would you have I mean, David used to call them dings. I remember we just get dings.
Yeah. And you know, it kind of varies for different players. Like I said, myself being a defensive lineman, where it's, you know, it's considered a train wreck every play, because like I said, you're taking on these offensive linemen, so you're banging these guys, you're getting off, and if you get over to make a tackle, you know, you're trying to bring a lot of force with your hit. And so it's like, you know, you get probably a half a dozen of those, you know, not to the point where you knock yourself unconscious, but where you get a ding, it's like, boom, it's like you a little dazed, but you still maintain it. Because, you know, back then it's like we didn't want to be on the sideline, you know, because once you became a starter, which I did after my third year. I became a starter after my third year. So 7 years I was a starter. My first 3 years I was playing special teams and backing up players. And it's like, when you get the opportunity to get out and play, you do not want to come off the field, especially for something that you didn't think was that serious. You know, if you get something serious happen to you, you can't perform, you've got to go. But if it's something like a ding or whatever you get, you play through it, you know. And, you know, little did we know, because we were like Superman back in those days. I mean, you got,
that's right,
you're healthy and you're playing, you're doing something that you love doing. But, you know, little did you know that, you know, when you turn your 50s and you start creeping into your 60s, all those things start coming back, and you start having these, you know, your body's like, wow, you know, that's from what I used to do as a living.
Let's talk about that, Reggie and Ivory. You say you were Superman when you were in your 20s and 30s, and now you're in your 50s and 60s, and now you don't feel like you're Superman. It's coming back. What's coming back? Explain that to me, Reggie.
Well, you know, it's when I say that, meaning just the physical abilities that you once had. I mean, of course, you're getting older. You know, your body's gonna, you know, not so much deteriorate, but your body loses the muscle tone. You lose, you know, you're not as strong as you used to be, and you know, you may not be as quick reacting. You know, I'm an old guy. I've got 3 young boys that are teenagers. You know, one's turning 20 next month, and the other 2, you know, are 15 and 16. And you know, and it's funny because, you know, they all are very active. You know, the youngest one's playing baseball now, and he's really good. But the other 2, you know, they play football and baseball too. And it's like, you know, we'll come past something. We got a trampoline. We've had a trampoline in our backyard for 10 years now. So trampoline. So they back doing these flips and double flips. And they're like, Dad, can you do this? I said, when I was in high school, I could do it, you know, but don't expect I'm 66 years old. I'm not gonna get out there and crack my back. I can't get out and play golf if I get hurt myself now, you know. But they look at tapes and some of the videos of me as, you know, when I was in my prime. I'm, you know, doing this, I'm tackling this guy, I'm slamming this guy. And they're like, wow, Dad, can you? And then they ride skateboards, they ride scooters, and they go, Dad, can you think you could do it? I said, dude, are you kidding me? I just had to take your brother to the hospital for breaking his collarbone about a month ago on a skateboard. Why do you think I'm going to get on a skateboard and show you if I can do any kind of these flips? No, Dad's not going to do that. Okay, he's not in that frame of mind. I don't have that body anymore. But well, you know,
that's funny, Reg.
But that's just our mortality that we are in right now. And you know, just fortunate enough to do what we did for a long period of time, both Ivory and myself. And it's just, you know, as the body gets older, and they're like, I've accepted it. I mean, golf is my fun spot right now. You know, I go out and play. Only thing I have to worry about when I golf is somebody hitting a stray golf ball and don't yell 4. You know, that'll get my
let me ask you about that, Reggie. I know you've been wearing the X39 and the X49, I believe. Are those the patches you've been wearing?
Yes, they are.
Why are you wearing them? Like, what was your body like before you started? Well, what have you noticed today?
Well, you know, Ivory brought it to my attention and told me about the product. You know, I'm going to say probably about a year ago. And, you know, I was having problems with my knee where, you know, it was basically bone on bone. and arthritis had kind of gained this, a little momentum in it. Not to the point where I'm hobbling around or I'm limping or walking, but it just wasn't really comfortable, having it. And I thought at one point, the knee replacement was going to be an option for me because a lot of my friends and former players have had knee, hip, shoulder replacements and all that going on. And, that's the last thing I wanted to do, because like I said, I am a pretty active golfer. So that would be one way it would kind of hinder me because it's my left knee. So being a right-hand hitter, when I come through and finish, all my weight's going to my left side. And that's where I was having the issues with, going up the stairs, going up a hill. It's fine, but just coming down because of the bone and bone on that. So Sully introduced me to I think the X39 about a year ago and said, hey, why don't you try this and just kind of see how it works. He told me, you got to be on a routine and he's diligent like he is. That's why I love him so, because he's a guy that keeps me in check. He always told me, he said, look, now you got to do 12 hours, you do it on, then 12 hours off. You got to be consistent with it. You cannot, forget about it. And of course, I'd forget about it. I wouldn't do it on the timeline. After weeks, you say, hey, well, how things going? I said, I haven't too many results because he said, are you doing what I told you? I said, you got to do 12 hours on, 12 hours off, either morning or either evening, whatever you do. And I was like, to be honest with you, I have not. So once I got on the routine of being consistent, because I used, place it either right below your stomach or right in the back tape of your neck. But I put mine directly behind my knee where I was having the issues. I figured, hey, directly at the source would be probably best for me to try it. It's the overall general. So I started doing it, and I did it for, I think I wound up getting maybe about 6 weeks that I actually gave it. And I used to wear a patella tendon wrap, a sleeve. It's like a little a wrap that you put around. It's like a neoprene sleeve, it's not a sleeve, but a neoprene band, about 1.5 inches thick, and I wrap it around the bottom of my knee and pull it tightly, and it'll basically keep the kneecap from moving around a lot, kind of stabilize it. And that's what I had to do, after a while. But even before that, I was taking like a 800 milligram ibuprofen just so I can go out and play, so I wouldn't have the pain that was bugging me. So I started using this band, and it's like a Band-Aid. I mean, of course, it's not going to fix the problem, but it gave me enough that I can go out and play without any problems. But start using, like I said, the X39. I'm using it constantly. I started getting on a routine, and now I don't even wear the band anymore. I go without wearing the band. So it's not saying it just hallelujah moment, but it has stopped me from taking ibuprofen, and it has stopped me from using the patella tendon wrap that I had been using. So, wow. I just keep saying, keep it coming, man. It's working.
Wow. Well, let's talk a little bit about what you've been using, and then Ivory, I'll ask about what's happened with you. So this is what Ivory told Reggie to buy, and this is the X39 stem cell activation patch. And I'll just show you what's inside. It looks like a Band-Aid, but it's so much more. Inside is organic crystal. And it turns out that we reflect a low-grade infrared light. And when you put this patch on your skin, it reflects back your own light to make things happen in your body. It's called photobiomodulation, light making change in your body. And what this patch does for Reggie is it activates a peptide called GHK copper peptide. That peptide acts like a communicator to Reggie's stem cells. And it says, hey, it's time to get working again. It's time to make more of you again. And it's time to make you work like you're young again, like when you're 20. And the reason that's important is that stem cells are the only cells in your body that are changeable. They can change into whatever cell your body needs for repair. And that's what happened to Reggie when he was 20. That's when he was 6'4", I'm going to do weight 275.
270. You like the weight, don't you?
I love the weight 275, 270. He was going. He was in his 20s and his stem cells were repairing. So he'd hit somebody left, somebody right, tackle the wedge. and he just get up and pretty much go again. I mean, game after game after game. But as he's gotten older, the stem cells by the time he's 30 slow down by 50%. By the time he's 60, they're almost not working at all. And what I think is interesting, Reggie, is all that stuff that was done to you when you were a little when you were young, it stops popping out now because your stem cells aren't repairing. So what happens if you start wearing this patch? Can you just start repairing like you're 20? Can those stem cells work like honing birds and start working up your body to repair? And I would say for you, you know, it went to the knee and it started working, and you no longer are taking ibuprofen or wearing the brace. I mean, and you thought you were going to have knee replacement. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it is, and like I said, you know, earlier, it's I'm not like I'm saying it's a miracle work, because I mean, I'm sure everybody's situation is going to be different, you know, because here just recently I've had some issues with like circulation on my feet, you know, not a really form of neuropathy, but it's just kind of a vascular thing with the veins, and I wasn't getting the circulation from my ankle to my toes like I needed, and where a few small blisters under my toes for wearing shoes without socks turned out to be, you know, almost pretty serious, you know, because of, you know, the healing process, because you're not getting blood circulation to any area that you have an injury to, or that you have an injury on. You know, the blood flow is the key to life. It's the key to survival, you know. And so I've been using the patches, like, you know, on my feet now, you know, and I put them on, and it's like, you know, and I am pretty regimented on keeping them on 12 hours and taking them off 12, you know. Sure, I've forgotten a few times, but it's to the point now where it's like kind of like a regiment, you know. And, you know, I was not playing golf for probably 3 months, you know, where, you know, my podiatrist, you know, that's another thing that Ivor and I talk about a lot. It's like, you know what, back in our earlier days when we were, you know, young and handsome and good looking and athletic, we used to go and, you know, we talk about cars, we talk about girls, we talk about houses, we talk about jewelry. Now we're talking about knee replacements. We're talking about shoulder replacements. We're talking about diabetes. We're talking about all these cataract eye surgery. It's like, wait a minute, man, our conversations have changed over the years, haven't they, man?
You went from girls to vascular problems in the flow of the foot. I'm sorry, Reggie.
Hey, if someone had told me just 20 years ago that I was going to have a podiatrist, which is a foot doctor, you know, I had to look it up and make sure that's what it was. It's like, wait a minute. I'm not going to get a podiatrist. I'm 66 years old, but yes, I do. And when I don't show up for the appointment, she gets on me and she calls me Reginald. She said, Reginald, you know that? I'm like, wait a minute. My mom only called me Reginald when I got in trouble as a kid. Everyone else calls me Reggie, okay? But the point I'm making is that you know, as we get older, you know, things starts to change. And what you mentioned earlier about how it affects, you know, your body, and as far as the what was it that you just said? Because there was a procedure that I had thought about, where they go in and they take what was the
Orthoscopic?
No, not orthoscopic. It was what's your body already has in it already. What they go in and take out to.
You were maybe gonna do a bone marrow or take some stem cells out of your
bone. Stem cell is the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
So basically, there was a procedure that they had, that they would go in and they would take stem cell from your lower spine, and actually take it and put it in a machine, and actually would rotate it, resolve it, and do it so many times that it would kind of change the placement of the molecules in it, some scientific form of it, and they would inject it into the area where you were having the problems, either the knee or the shoulder or the hips. And it actually worked well on a lot of patients that they were doing that. And, you know, by the X39, I'm thinking that it actually does some of that without having to go through that lengthy process of going through that, you know. So like I said, it's something that has changed.
Yeah, and what's interesting with that procedure is that you're taking out your old stem cells and returning them and putting them back in, but they're still old, right? And X39 actually activates your stem cells and turns them to act like they're young again. And so it's really interesting that the X39 is activating your own stem cells to repair like you're young again. And actually X49, Reggie, that you use,
Yes.
actually works in the muscle, and it helps grow bone. It
Yep.
builds lean muscle, and it protects the heart and the brain, and also blood pressure. So, you know, you got to go talk to your podiatrist that calls you Reginald and say, hey, doctor, look at what I'm doing. I'm so good now.
Yeah. Well,
Hey,
the thing about that procedure that Reggie talked about also is that's $10,000 a shot. And that does
Yes.
not, and you have to come back in 6 months and get another one. And so it is like onerous to have to go that route. There is some relief that you'll have, but it's not, first of all, it's not your organic, it's not your, doesn't come from your body and rejuvenate most times. It's something, it's a foreign thing, even though you get the formula drawn out of you to be put back in, there's always this unfamiliarity with the new shot going into your body. Okay. And so this right here, what we're doing is we're just rejuvenating what has already been, what is already there. And that's why I love it, for crying out loud.
Absolutely.
You know, Reggie, I'll tell you, you know, me and Reggie, I'm sitting here listening to Reg, and, you know, we're having a good time reminiscing, and we're talking about, yeah, how about that time, you know, we're laughing and joking about, yeah, well, that time, but we got knocked out. That time that we got our head on a swivel, put our head up on a swivel. We don't want to get knocked in the ear. That's what, you know, we're having fun with it. But the truth of the matter is those were extreme cases of injury. They really are. TBI, and they were injurious situations that we as football players, we laugh it off. But now, you know, it's coming back to visit us again, which obviously it would. The thing about this is, and the reason I think why me and Reggie really want to be here is to encourage people that don't have those extenuating circumstances and that intensity of injury, but that, you know, if you do this and you have discomfort and you utilize this patch the way we are utilizing this patch, it is remarkable. Okay, I had a seminal moment when I actually realized when the patch was really working for me. I got a 10-day gift to use on my body, and at that time I wasn't sleeping really well. I was, you know, my hips, not my hip, my knee, my ankle, you know, and my neck specifically, they were really bothering me, and I wasn't getting a lot of relief anywhere. And so sure enough, I get the opportunity to use these patches 12 hours on, 12 hours off, and I was really diligent in doing that. And, you know, it was like, okay, you know, I didn't notice anything the first 7 days. The 7th day, I had to change the light bulb on my bedroom light, which is on my ceiling. And so I got a ladder, brought it into the room, climbed up the ladder, took the bulb out. When I went from looking up in the sky to coming down to put the bulb down, I fell off the ladder. And I'm saying, I'm a freaking world-class freaking athlete. I can't stand on a ladder. What the heck is going on? So these are situations that they're like,
they offer that ladder, Ivory.
Exactly. They're bothersome though to me because that's not what I'm used to. I'm used to being able to conquer this stuff. Anyway, I went to sleep right after that. Okay. I went to sleep after that and I woke up. And Marci, I told you about this. You have a term for what happened to me, but I had an event and it was on the 7th day. And that event,
you had a retracing. You did. Tell us about that.
That's exactly what it was. And all of a sudden, I was clear of mind. I mean, and literally, I mean, it literally happened that I woke up from that nap and I was clear of mind, you know, because, you know, we get to be forgetful naturally as we age, but, you know, you've been hit in the head, you know, 50 times, like we got hit in the head. Trust me, you're going to lose that sense a lot earlier. I was clear of mind. I could remember things. It was amazing. And, you know, Marci actually just told me a matter of months ago, you know, I didn't know what it was, but it was incredible. And so that's what it ended up happening with me. And that's why I am such a firm believer in this product.
Well, I mean, let's be honest, you know, we talk about how tackling and knocking each other out, get up so you don't look like the one that's really knocked out. I mean, that's crazy talk, right? Get up so you don't look like the one knocked out. But really what it is over the years is brain injury. I mean, isn't that what traumatic brain injury,
TBI.
And it's a real thing for players. Like, it's a real thing. You've lost good men to TBIs and traumatic brain injury, right? And so
Exactly.
it's really no laughing matter. And that X39 can be there to start repairing the brain. And in 7 days, it's so funny. He's like, I'm on this ladder, I'm off balance. And that's retracing. That's when the stem cells is retracing the injury and repairing it. It's also retracing and healing crisis go together. And a healing crisis is when new stem cells are pushing old tissue out and there's inflammation and a battle. So Ivory on that ladder was having a full-on retracing and a full-on healing crisis all at the same time, so much so that he fell off the ladder, right? Crazy. Right. And then what? You took a nap, you're like, oh my gosh, you wake up from the nap and your brain is clear.
I slept for 3 hours, and it was like 11 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I slept for 3 hours. What is that? It was amazing. It was amazing. So that's my personal experience that I want to share with everybody out there. And I'm sure that it'll be more like step by step for most other people. But I believe truly because of TBI that that opportunity could occur. And so I'm just grateful to have the opportunity to wear these things and have a good experience.
And what's happening? What else? Go ahead. Yes. Oh, here.
And Reggie will tell you, you know, a lot of our guys that have played in the league, you know, they are really, you know, we're 65 and 66, and guys our age that have just aged just unbelievably. You can barely recognize them. They can't put a sentence together. You know, it's like it's disheveling. It really is. And that's another thing. My vocabulary came back. I used to be a smart guy when I was in school, and I used to have a mellifluous vocabulary, and the words are coming back to me now. It's amazing.
That's a big deal.
I got my vocabulary back. I'm serious. You know how you sit around and you what you think, and you wonder the word that you want to say, and you can't. Reggie had a moment like that just on the stem cells, but those things and my vocabulary, it comes out naturally. I'm free flowing like I used to when I was a young man. I'm happy. I can talk.
Wow.
Ivory is he's very honest about that, because Ivory, not only was he a great athlete, and it's not just saying it because I've known this guy for 45 years now, and you know, we've been just friends. You know, I love this dude. We've been friends forever. But he was one of the guys, you know, and he was also a godly man. You know, he was one of the guys that I went to for advice when I struggled with anything or issues. You know, he was usually the smartest guy in the room. You know what I mean? Because he was the guy that kind of had answers for it all. You know, but you know, and that's what happens with a lot of these situations. And like he mentioned, there's a lot of guys that we've lost along the way that have suffered from. And you know, from these brain injuries, and it's a real sad fact that is true and it's prevalent, and it goes on and it's happening daily. You know, a good friend of mine and Ivory's, Kermit Alexander, he lives like 2 minutes away from me. You know, he played 14 years in the league. You know, All-American at UCLA, was drafted by the 49ers. You know, and played with the Rams.
Smart guy.
I mean, he was in charge of the Players Association. He was the president of the Players Association. You know, he worked in several different correctional institutions as a ambassador for like the governor of the state. I mean, smart guy. He always had conversation, and to see him, you know, my wife and I and our boys, we took he and his wife out to the movies about 3 weeks ago, almost a month ago. And you know, he's suffering from dementia so badly. You know, he's like really that term, a shell of himself, because you know he doesn't have a lot of conversation. He's repetitive on maybe a question that you may ask or comment on him, and it's just sad to see that happening. There's so many guys that are in that situation that you know that you don't get to see or hear about. Like here, Ivory and myself, we've been blessed and fortunate to be able to have a conversation. You know, physically we're okay. You know, of course we got our injuries that's going to come along with what we did for a living, because typically, you know, if we didn't play the sport that we played, with the contact, with the concussions, with the physical, you know, things that we did, yes, we chose that. That's what we loved to do when we were then. But I think if we've had to look back at it and think about it, man, would I had played as long as I did if I kind of knew how my body would be at this point in my life now, you know, I'm going to say, yeah, I probably would, but I would have taken a little bit better of myself, you know, and taken on things a little bit differently. But we're at a point now where it's like, wow, these things happen to us. And it's like, you know, it can't say, oh man, woe is me. You have to find different alternatives and different methods on how to make yourself live. I mean,
absolutely. It's so true.
You know, doing what you got to do to maintain, you know, right. I've got a wife and I've got 3 teenage boys, and I've got a lot to live for, you know, and I want to be happy with myself. I mean, I love to golf, you know, and hanging out, going to movies and watching TV, you know, which my wife said I watch too much of. But those are my friends, you know what I mean?
You want to enjoy your life. You want to live your best life. Yeah.
You want that quality of life, even though you're age you're in. And like I said, I tell some people, say, yeah, man, you're only 66. I say, yeah, but I'm 66, but 10 years in the NFL, 210 consecutive games, plus not counting my 40 plus games in college and my 40 plus games in high school, you know, that's a lot of contact, a lot of banging. I said, a typical person, you know, that goes out, you know, sure, they might have did a little high school athletics, sports, a little this and that, but their body as a 66-year-old hasn't been through what my body and what Ivory's body's been through. Okay. And I like I said, we are blessed, first of all, you know, thank God every day that, you know, that we're in the situation we're in. But it's like, my body should be like the body of probably 80, 85, 90-year-old person, because just of the physical that I've gone through. But like I said, I'm going to take these patches, the X49 and X39 as long as I can, because I think it actually has done something to take me away from the other Band-Aids that I was thinking about, you know.
And having said that, Reggie, the other patch you may want to try that I don't think you've tried is called Eon. And Eon activates a peptide that reduces inflammation. And so inflammation is an eater of stem cells. So when you wear Eon with X39, you turbocharge the X39 to work better. And with your vascular blood flow issues, I think that X39, X49, and Eon would be a really nice combination. So we'll look into that. I didn't realize that you had all the foot stuff, and I think Eon would really be
now you sent me a packet with some in there. Now, are those in the package? I just got I'm somewhere else with my wife and I in the RV hanging out at the beach right now. You know, that's where we are. So
how fun.
But
I'm not sure. I'll have to go look. I know it's X39 and X49, but I'll check your order and see if Eon's in there. And when you get home from your fun, you check it too.
Oh yeah. But the fun is tomorrow. I'm going home tomorrow to my regular life. But we've been hanging out since Monday. We've been out here at Boca Chica Beach, right behind me. You know, I wish I could tilt the computer so you can see it in the back out the window, the beach area. But it's a little overcast today. But
where are you? Are you in what are you in California?
Yeah, I am. I'm in Boca Chica, which is right down the road from Huntington Beach. We're right down at the RV park. I'm right on the beach, the sand. If I go back about 30 yards behind me, I'm right to the beach on the sand. So it's like that's kind of our little fun thing. You know, our boys are homeschooled. You know, one graduated last year. We've got 2 that are 15 and 16, so they homeschool. So they're at the age where they can kind of maintain and do it themselves. You just have to make sure get them up in the morning. That's the tough thing about teenagers. I know you people are listening out there. You know how teenagers are in their beds when you have to almost drag them out of bed in the morning to get them out, get them going. But they can kind of maintain themselves. So she and I get to go out and hang out a little bit during the week, you know, Monday
That's so nice.
through our days.
That's wonderful. Well, Reggie, thank you for sharing your life. Your life seems so fun. The ocean, TV, golf. What was the other thing he loves to do? Movies. I felt like there was one other thing I missed, but that sounds like a great life. Ivory, let's go to you real quick. Other than your brain rebalancing, I know that you also like to live your best life. And what's happened with your shoulders, your knees? Like how's working out? Like how's the rest of your body doing?
It's amazing. You know, my neck, you know, really was the start of it. And when my neck stopped hurting, I mean, literally, I mean, it would be a pain right in the back of my neck that, and I couldn't kind of get it out. You know how you just do that and kind of stretch it and stuff like that? I don't have to do that anymore. It's, you know, it doesn't bother me anymore. I mean,
Wow.
I think that I just think that this patch really just aligns with my body or whatever's going on with my body, like in a superior way. I mean, I am a proponent, a strong proponent of these patches and the stem cell theology, which is really the most important thing, is that you buy into the theology. Stem cells are stem cells. We got them, and we need to, and the technology that reinvigorates them. I'm telling you, it's amazing. My knees, no problem on my knees. My ankles, no swelling on my ankles. I mean, no headaches. Boom. That's the big one. The headaches. The headaches because when you sleep on a pillow, and I have about 19 pillows because I'm trying to get the right fit, and you know how you have to settle right in. I used to have to be set in one specific position so that I could sleep. And if I got more than 3 hours sleep in a row, that was great. I mean, now I'm sleeping through the night 6 to 8 hours, and it's great. I only use 2 pillows now, and there's no headaches that come from, you know, my creaking my neck or anything like that.
Mm.
So I have a heartfelt and physical change that has happened to what I've got going on with my body.
That's amazing. It's so nice to hear. You know, you guys started it for one reason, your brain, Reggie's knee, but then the benefits just keep coming. And that's just the
Pluripotent. It's the pluripotency, you know, that's what it is. And
Yeah.
that's what's amazing about it, because I didn't even know I had things wrong with me that, you know, that are feeling better. But, you know, I'm riding my bike. I don't run anymore. You know, I try not to run at 65, you know, but it's hard to stop running completely. I play golf, I play tennis, I do all that stuff. And I still have to be I have to be an athlete in some way to quell my anxiety, to get out there, mix it up somehow. I got to mix it up.
That's right. You still got it. You still got it.
I promise you that never leaves your heart. When you got it, it never leaves you. You want to do it, so I'm going and doing it. Yeah. Sorry.
Bike.
Oops, we lost you, Reggie, a little bit. You're going in and out a bit. Try one more time.
Okay.
You back?
Yeah, so you got to get the e-bike, you know, because we got e-bikes that we strap on the back of this RV and we go out. Oh man, we can do 10, 20 miles, and it's like not very vigorous at all. You just you make sure your battery.
But you're moving.
Charged.
But you're moving.
And you were going. Oh yeah, you're moving, because it actually says like pedal assist. I mean, you're pedaling like you're doing, but it takes of all the work that's done. But you got to do that if you're going to be biking. Yeah, I have a friend that you know him also, Ivory. He started golfing about 10, 11 years ago, and he started telling us, you know, hey, I'm starting to ride bikes now. You know, I'm out on my bike. I'm doing like 20, 25, 30 miles. I'm looking at him like, wait a minute. This guy's older than me. He's not very athletic. He's doing 30 miles. All of a sudden, he just stops golfing. He's doing this. What's going on? And I found out from another friend of ours that the reason how he's able to do these bike rides, he had an electric bike. So it's like, dude, next time I saw him, I said, why did you talk to me that way? I said, you totally you gave me this false impression that you were doing 20, 30 miles a day, and all you were doing, you got on the electric bike, and all you do is just move your feet. You don't have to pedal hard. You don't have to take it on hills. You can. It does it by itself. And after that, I was like, dude, you don't tell me anything about you and your 20, 30 miles of bike riding, because you're a cheater.
He's a cheater with electric. So let's talk real quick. We have just a few more minutes. So let's just quickly tell people how they can wear the patch.
Yeah.
You wear it 12 hours on to activate and repair, and 12 hours off. You can wear it right below the back of your neck or under your belly button, but any spot will do. Your whole body's light. So if Reggie's having a knee problem, he can put it right on his knee. If he's having a problem with circulation in his foot, he can put it right on his foot. The only rule is 12 hours on and 12 hours off. And why is that? It's because we are light. There's nothing in it. There's not stem cells in here. You're activating your body's light through this crystal. It's reflecting in the crystal lattice light. And that is what activates your stem cells to start working again through GHK copper peptide. So if you don't take it on and off every 12 hours, your body can get used to the signal and it doesn't work so well. So 12 on and 12 off. And then this is how you can get it. You can get with the person who brought you here, and this costs $149 retail, or you can get it as a preferred customer at $119. I know Reggie and Ivory started with the silver pack, which was $299, and they put an X39 and X49, and I believe 2 Eon in there. And that for $299, you get 4 sleeves of patches, which is a great deal. And then they went on, actually for them, the performance pack after X39, X49, and I believe that's $169 a month. And so just get with the person who brought you here and say, hey, I want that NFL pack, that X39, the X49, 2 Eons, and then that performance pack, which is the X39, X49 the following month. And then you will be just like Ivory and Reggie, and you too can be like the NFL. Now, I don't know if you're going to be 275, but you can pretend. Would you guys like to close? I'd love one more comment from you, Ivory, and then from Reggie before we close the call today.
Hey, look, I love you, Marci. Thanks a lot for Marci. Turned me on to it all. Lifewave is not a game. It's for real. You know what else? Look, people are starting to know about this. I've got a friend in Maryland, all the way back on the East Coast, and I was talking to him, and he was talking to me about Ivory. I got to go and Lifewave now. I've got a Lifewave. I said, "What are you talking about, Lifewave?" He said, "Really, Lifewave? Are you doing this? Are you an X39, X49 guy?" And he's a guy that worked at Nike, and so he's using it and utilizing it too, an ex-athlete. And so this thing is happening, and it's real, and I am so happy to be a part of it. And I'm grateful for Marci turning me on to it. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Reggie, do you have a final word for the group?
Yeah, I mean, kind of listening and kind of talking a lot about, myself, and listen to Ivory about himself, and, a lot of things that we've known. But I mean, for those of you out there watching maybe for the first time, I've been approached by so many places and so many different products on saying how this works for you and how that works for you. And it's like, a lot of those out there, a lot of it's kind of smoke and mirrors, but this is kind of something where I was actually looking at potentially getting a knee replacements, and everybody that I've known that has had it, the first comments, man, I should have did this 10, 15 years ago, but it's like, I really don't want to go through that. I see what their rehabilitation is. I mean, to think about that, and I looked it up. Knee replacement, they basically cut your femur bones connected by where your tibia, and they take that whole thing out and put an artificial replacement in there. And it's like, wow, you don't think about that. You just see the long scar on the knee when they're done. I'm like, oh man, I am not ready for that. And it's like, if I can find an alternative way of trying to, prevent that from happening, or use something that's going to keep me to keep doing the things that I enjoy doing, I'm going to do it. Like right now, this has been that has kind of shown me like, okay, just try it. Just be diligent with it, you know, and it's not going to happen overnight, like I said. And I thought, you know, there's no miracle works that are out there unless you ask for grace from God above. That's the only miracle that you're going to get. But if you looking for something that's going to give you something that you can kind of depend on, you know, is where I looked at it, you know, and that's the whole thing. I think what we all look for is something that's consistent. You know, consistency is what we need. I mean, that's in all forms of your life, but to me, this has been consistent for me, and it's kind of shown that it can work if you.
So I have one more. I have an NFL fan, and it's Sheila Hay. And if she wants to unmute herself, Sheila, you get to ask the guys one question each, whatever you want. It can be about the product, about injury. It can be about football. What do you want to ask the guys? Yeah, you have one question you want. Oh, maybe she's not going to ask. I don't know. I might have. Oh, you better hurry. One question. I know you've been wanting to ask a question. Anything you want. Sheila is a huge NFL fan. So
I'm behind the welcome email.
All right, Sheila.
Sheila, what's up?
I'm on 2 Zooms at once, Marci. I'm with Jan and Kathleen, and I'm just drilling over listening to you wonderful gentlemen. I guess what I'm leaving these guys, sorry.
Yeah, you got to leave him. You got to come to NFL for a moment. I just did this on the spot, but I know she loves football.
I do. I love football. And do you guys plug into football as much today and into the systems and watch as you did, you know, as playing? Are you guys still, does it percolate you? Do you enjoy it? Or is it just part of past life?
Good question. Is it past life, or is it still current in your life, Ivory?
Well, I can tell you, for a guy, I wasn't allowed to play football until I was just a junior in high school. My parents just didn't believe in it, and I wanted to play it. But I played every other sport that there is on earth, pretty much. I played ice hockey. I was a wrestler. I did everything, man, for crying out loud. But it was all because I couldn't play football. I got drafted by the Phillies in the 17th round, and I should have played baseball because I'd probably still be playing at 66. You know, but anyway, Reggie knows what I'm talking about. I'm a jock, and I love watching jock stuff, and I love watching football. I watch the USFL and the XFL, the new football. I'm not sure that I'm so with it, you know, really. The kickoff is kind of crazy. I don't know if you watch that stuff or not.
I watch it.
Wow. It's a wow. I mean, you know, so some things where there's a departure from, you know, how I played. And I'm like, oh, that's soft. That's so freaking soft. No, we can't do it. You got to have somebody running down on those kickoffs. But anyway, that's how I feel about it. Yeah, I'm a fan forever.
Fan forever. That's a great
Fan
question.
forever.
How about you, Reggie? Are you a fan forever? Or are you still watching the games and as in it as you were when you were playing? And I think Reggie might have gone, I think he might have faded out. So I guess Ivory will speak for both of them. Once a jock, always a jock. I think that's the answer. So with that, it is 12:30. Thank you for sharing this last hour with us. Ivory Sully, Reginald Doss from the LA Rams, NFL, why they love X39 and X49. And so anybody that knows athletes, NFL athletes, coaches, anything about athleticism, have them watch this video, hear from the guys that have gone through it and what they find is working. So with that, thanks so much for coming to NFL Thursday, and have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Saka.